As the 2013 season built toward its conclusion, there was one CIF championship final matchup that everyone wanted to see, and no one got to see: Nordhoff and Oak Park. The offseason for these two teams after Nordhoff's title win and Oak Park's shocking upset to El Segundo brought a lot of change both in Ojai and out here just beyond the Conejo Valley. Both schools had new head coaches come in as Tony Henney and Terry Shorten left their longtime jobs at these two proud schools. They also changed leagues, at least one of them did, with Nordhoff staying in the Tri-Valley and Oak Park opting for a whole new challenge. These former league rivals meet again tonight outside of league play, our first live game in the month of September here in this 2014 season. It is the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel as the Nordhoff Rangers visit the Oak Park Eagles. Live from Oak Park High School, my name is Danny Page, and with me, the Deuce, Derry Eads. It's a really different look, Derry, isn't it, for both of these teams, both with new head coaches looking to impress as we move here into September?
Not only new coaches, but you almost kind of have totally new teams. I mean, because both teams lost some very good quality players, all CIF players, record-setting performers on both sides of the ball. And so we kind of saw what happened last week. Both kind of struggled a little bit. You know, Nordhoff just barely beating Channel Islands 17-12, and Oak Park having a tough opener against Bishop Diego.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, for both of these schools, Nordhoff's not used to only winning by 5 points. Let's start out there. And Bishop Diego looks to be a really good team this year, but Oak Park is not used to losing in that kind of fashion. So I think both of them are looking at this game as a real opportunity to go out and state their intent for this 2014 season.
Sure. You know, thing about Oak Park, you know, they lost their starting quarterback, Jake Walker, in the second quarter to ankle injury. He's not suited up for tonight, so they had to go with a sophomore, Jacob Lund, and you know that certainly was a big change for him, one that he wasn't expecting, and it was a tough 2 quarters for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Lund came on and went 1 of 14 for just 10 yards. He should really improve tonight. I think most of those here would anticipate. We saw some sophomore quarterbacks last year. We saw a whole mess of them, and really game by game, drive by drive, snap by snap even, these players can get better and better.
Well, but I mean, he wasn't expected. Unlike the other sophomores, he wasn't projected as a starter. That's a big difference. You know, he's on the bench looking maybe to come in maybe fourth quarters. So it's a big move for him to move up, and I think they'll probably maybe adjust some of the things they do offensively, maybe run the ball a little bit more with him in there and get him into something comfortable that he can do.
It is Nordhoff against Oak Park as you see the Rangers out on the field in the all-white uniforms, blue helmets, yellow trim. Last time we saw Nordhoff, Derry, it was, of course, in the Northwest Division semifinal. What a game that was, but this is a different group of Rangers as well, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, they're really hanging their hat on Shane Hirsch, you know, running back and linebacker. You know, he's got the closing on tackle records for Nordhoff, and he rushed for about 158 yards last week on 23 carries. So, I mean, that guy just doesn't leave the field at all.
He does not. I saw him in warm-ups down on the field, dialed in, ready to roll. And by the way, in September, so frequently we have these late summer kicks. The weather is absolutely beautiful. Temperature rapidly dropping here at Oak Park High School. What a setting for prep football in Ventura County on this Friday night, the VCS Preps Game of the Week, brought to you by AAA Travel. The Eagles show themselves as they prepare for kickoff in all black with gold trim. Set to kick away, John Abate, who is one of the standout wideouts, and it's an onside kick. It bounces across the 50-yard line, and that will go to Oak Park. Well, Deuce, that's a nice little start for the home crowd.
Yep. Certainly something you don't ever hardly see. See it maybe at the start of a second half or something.
Nordhoff was utterly unprepared for that. They were a good 20 yards back when the ball was kicked. I like what I'm seeing from Oak Park here early on the opening play. A second hasn't elapsed, and I say I like what I'm seeing. So flip the board over and let Lund go to work. Throws downfield. It's a duck. He was hit a little bit of backside pressure there. Coming in was Joe York, a converted running back at defensive tackle, and it looked like he got a piece of Lund before he released the ball.
So much for them going for a running game.
Yeah, I don't think so. The onside kick and then the deep ball. Let's take you through these Oak Park starters. It'll be interesting to gauge tonight how similar the offense is from last year. Terry Shorten is obviously gone, as the head coach Tim Kenny has come in now, former head coach at St. Genevieve, as he tosses that one out to the kicker, Abade, who picks up 2 yards. Lund has already equaled his completions from last week. But as we go through the starters on the offensive line, Nick Brown, Christian Chicas at the right guard spot, Blake Gifford, Elijah Espinoza, and then Brian Weitzman, the big captain at left tackle. He has the frame of a D1 lineman, says his head coach Tim Kenny, who, by the way, walked on at Notre Dame, played at the Division I level. Lund looks back to the sideline for a change, 45 seconds into this Friday night contest. Sprints right, tries to create some time, loses the football on the ground, recovered by Oak Park, and hurled to the deck is Jordan Vega. It's Joe York again with the tackle there. And
York was the guy who dislodged the ball to begin with. He made a great play.
And then hustled down the field to make that tackle. Yeah. So now Oak Park will be forced to punt, and they'll have to do so from 8 yards behind where they kicked off to start this game. Here's Abade. Gets a nice punt away.
Boy, and there was a lot of pressure, too.
There was. Rangers flying in, taken inside the 30. Now beyond the 40, 45. To midfield goes the return man for the Nordhoff Rangers. It's Bailey Rogers, one of the two-way stars for the defending Northwest Division champions. We didn't get to the entire Oak Park starting offensive lineup. We will, but let's introduce you to these Nordhoff Rangers. A lot of turnover as Tanner Workman departed last year, graduated after helping lead the school to 2 CIF championships. A real star in waiting, though, has taken over. Austin Santino, the talented understudy. Shane Hirsch will be in the backfield with him. Bailey Rogers, Max Carmona, Nick McGrew, Nick Sterling, the wide receivers you will frequently see. Here's Hirsch down to the 40, 35-30. Pay dirt on the first play, perhaps touchdown Rangers. Shane Hirsch, the 48-yard score to stake Nordhoff out to a 6-0 lead less than 2 minutes into the opening quarter.
Boy, he just found a hole and he was gone. Great speed by the young man.
5'8", 180-pound senior. His coach says he's like a bowling ball, known more for his physical approach, but really there, I think he showed some speed that I personally wasn't really anticipating.
I wasn't either, but he had to show something last week in the game against Channel Islands, being that much.
Cooper Garcia knocks that one through, hoping to kick at the next level. We'll surely talk about Cooper plenty here in tonight's game. So before we can even get to the Nordhoff starting lineups.
You're having a hard time with these starting lineups.
Really struggling to get that information across. But you talked about that game, and Shane Hirsch really carried Nordhoff to that win. He had 114 yards on 11 carries in the second half, a 17-12 win for Nordhoff over CI. And they're a school now that goes out and plays a Channel Islands or, you know, an Oak Park, a non-league foe from this area, and expects to win and win big. And they just didn't do that last week.
No, but, you know, it's a new group of guys in offense. defensively, they really did a great job, you know. One of those touchdowns against them was a 45-yard interception return, and the other touchdown came with about 90 seconds left in the game. So I think overall they were pretty dominant.
Nordhoff kicks away. Cooper Garcia to do so. It's returned from the 2-yard line now up to the 20, 25, 30. A nice
flag.
return is
I
on
think
for
there's a
Oak
flag
Park.
there at the 20.
You're right. This one's coming back. It would appear. Cameron Fatemi on the return. And Oak Park will probably have to start back at their own 10, I want to say, right around there. Introduce you to the rest of this Oak Park team. Jordan Vega will see time at the running back spot. He was actually the starting quarterback on JV last season. Jacob Frame is a senior captain. We'll see at wideout Nick Despain, junior wide receiver.
Personal foul against Nordhoff.
Wow, thank you, Derry. 15-yard penalty. Great field position again for Oak Park. Let's see if they do decide to run the ball maybe a couple times even. John Abate, the Westlake transfer we've mentioned, starts at the wide receiver spot, and then a player we would think they would lean on. He is the only player on this Oak Park team. He is the only player, Derry, Cameron Fatemi, that has any game experience. There are a couple players that played after games were decided in the fourth quarter, as this is thrown to Abate, the Westlake transfer.
Another flag.
He gets to the 46.
That's got to be
a hold, you would think?
I think it's a helmet. You know. Face mask, I would think, maybe.
We'll wait for the official signal from the official. It is a hold. It is against Oak Park. Let's talk about this Nordhoff defense. They lost a lot from last season, but still talented players from up in Ojai. Joe York, Charles Delgado, who has had some injury problems and is filling in for another injured defensive tackle. And Austin Baker, the three of them in this 3-4 defense. Jevin Morrison, Shane Hirsch, who is approaching the school record for tackles. Atticus Reyes and Mark Conley are the four in that 3-4 setting, and I think all four of them were right there to make that tackle. I could see Austin Baker getting in on the action as a Ranger actually comes up with the football. And the defensive backs, Nick Sterling, Bailey Rogers, as I said, they start both ways. Cameron Spencer at one of the safety spots, and then Marcos Diaz, he's starting corner number 24, who is right on the near side.
Well, 3 of the 4 passes they've thrown have been right at the sideline.
2nd and 17, handoff to Fatemi. No gain, 3rd down now. 7 carries for 12 yards last year for Fatemi, the captain. It really was a tough night for Oak Park. But when you lose the stars, I can't believe we haven't even mentioned their names, and Chandler Whitboard, Matt Byers. Whitboard, of course, is at Air Force now. When you lose co-county players of the year like that, you expect the team to struggle. Penalty flag down for Tim Kenny's crew. I think that it's not just, Derry, about losing Matt Byers and Chandler Whitboard and Brandon Koppel, who was a talented running back, and having turnover at the coaching spots as well. I think truly the fact that you are looking at a roster that has one player that played any meaningful snaps on varsity football. Frankly, I've never heard of anything like that.
And 5 of the new guys you have coming in are sophomores. So they have some young guys playing.
Absolutely. Lund is just going to put this one up. Tries to hit Abate, and that's overthrown. Oak Park will be forced to punt. Abate will handle the majority of the punting duties. We'll be keeping you posted on all the games around the county. We'll have via phone joining us our reporters at the St. Bonaventure game in Long Beach against Cabrillo, as well as Eric Evelhawk joining us from Simi and Buena. Snap skips along the turf.
What a good punt after that.
Another really nice punt taken at the 30-yard line by Rogers. Rogers twists and turns to the 36. And with 8:20 to go in this first quarter of play, Derry, Nordhoff, one snap, one score. Can they do it again?
My prediction is that you'll be able to get some more guys named off for the Oak Park offense. Nordhoff offense.
I better do it quickly. Let's go through the O-line. Austin Baker, starting defensive tackle, starts at the left tackle spot. Jesus Hernandez at left guard. Homero Espana, number 77, the big center, Spencer Bliss. And Ivan Uregi, who is a returning starter for this team, the right tackle, 6'3", 260 pounds. He's easily the biggest individual on that line. Hirsch in the backfield, why not give it to him? A little counter space to the 40, 45, and Hirsch finally tackled down at the 48-yard line. So 2 carries and just shy of 70 yards for Shane Hirsch. Quick start for Nordhoff here, a quick start for Thousand Oaks against Canyon. They lead 14-0 already. Nice work from T.O. early. Why not just keep giving it to
Hirsch? Big
Shane Hirsch as he twists and turns his way for about 5 yards. Head coach at Nordhoff is Eric Monson. He grew up in Washington, and he spent the last 9 years at the small college level. From 2005 to 2011, he was at Cal Lutheran under Ben McEnroe. Finished college in the Midwest and was looking for jobs on a coaching website, as that is just a bit too deep for Max Carmona, overthrown by Santino. Just trying to find a place to start his coaching career, and noticed on said coaching website there was an opening at Cal Lutheran. Took a shot, and 3 weeks later he was a California boy. Went to Pacific and Oregon in 2012, and then in 2013 and 14 he was a coach at LA Valley College. Eric Monson now leading the Nordhoff Rangers. Little sweep pass down inside the 40 for Nordhoff is Nick McGrew. Nice grab from McGrew, and that's first down for the Rangers, really just doing what they want right now.
It's a big change going from being a college coach to a high school coach. All of a sudden now you're having to teach and all that kind of stuff.
A lot of responsibility you might not be ready for.
Having to grade those papers and all that kind of stuff.
That's why we went into journalism.
Right,
because we never would have been able to grade the papers and deal with parents. Here's Hirsch, 35-30. Hirsch turns it on. Hirsch on his way in, second score of the night. Touchdown, Rangers, 13-0. We're not even halfway through the first quarter of play. How about Shane Hirsch?
Boy, he is unbelievable.
I think it's the speed that's really surprised me so far for Shane Hirsch, and his ability to really pick his way through spots on the line. You're seeing how deep and solid this Nordhoff team was last year when Shane Hirsch only had 62 carries. They are going to absolutely rely on Hirsch. Pardon me, Derek.
He's already got over 100 yards.
Wow. Well, we are 5 minutes and 2 seconds in.
Well,
that's a pretty standard statistic.
Boom, right up the middle.
But wasn't the opening score more of the same? I know he kind of scooted out to his left, created some space, but he's just has a hole in front of him, finds it, and next thing you know, he's through the secondary and on his way.
Well, he accelerates real quick. As soon as he gets, he's at full speed in a hurry.
Austin Santino doesn't have much to do tonight, it would appear. Other scores, Pacifica on top of Reseda in the first 2:13. And Chris Santoyo with a 16-yard TD run for St. Bonaventure. The Seraphs lead 7-zip. 1 minute and 7 seconds into their game. So a lot of teams striking early here in the opening quarters of these respective games. Really in the opening few minutes. Garcia will kick away. Fatemi and Vega back deep. It will be Vega from the 5. Vega up to the 15, and Vega is hit hard. Nick McGrew contributing there on special teams. You know, McGrew, who I mentioned earlier, caught that pass on 3rd down. He's a real versatile player for this Rangers team. If you're going to follow Nordhoff all year long, he might be one of those that comes up with a big special teams player, a really important catch, which actually that's exactly what he's done over the last couple minutes.
Well, what we've seen so far from the Oak Park passing game is they've had most of their passes to the sideline, to the left sideline, and they've thrown 2 long balls to the right sideline. So it's they need to kind of change things up, I would think.
Perhaps try running the ball a little bit. Here's Lund to run with it. Little space. Gets out to the 22-yard line.
That was a pretty good run.
I think, Derry, what they want to do is just get him either moving in one way or get the ball out of his hands quickly, because that's one thing.
Lost the fumble.
You're right, he did lose the football. That happened pretty late there. I saw the players motioning that it was Nordhoff ball, but I didn't see the ball come loose. Nordhoff football on the 22-yard line.
Well, he kind of twisted around like he was trying to find something, some kind of space to get an extra yard, and that's usually when those turnovers occur. You're trying too hard to make something happen.
Problem is that there's a positive play for Oak Park. They recover the onside or something like that. They have that nice gain beyond midfield, and then here, and there's either a turnover or a penalty or something to negate these, you know, positive thrusts they're making. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Should say 1 step forward, 2 steps back is more like it. And Hirsch is spelled for a moment. Joe York carries the football for about 4 yards. Nordhoff changing things up. We'll see a lot of players shuffled in and out as Max Carmona comes back in for the Rangers. Says, boy, I expect Nordhoff to run the football a lot tonight.
Yeah.
Left side handoff. Just short of the 1st down is Joe York. A couple of Eagles players there to corral him. Brings up 3rd down and 1. I wonder if Hirsch will come back in on this 3rd down, and he does.
Boy, Nordhoff, it just looks like it's a team that's just going to get better week after week.
Well, that's what you would expect. It's just so difficult to tell what direction teams will go in when a new head coach comes to town, at least in my humble opinion. Here's Hirsch, spins off 1 tackler. Fumble, ball's loose, and it's recovered by Oak Park. Another positive play for the Eagles. Let's see if they can build on that here at the 5:25 mark of the 1st quarter. They're having these little moments, aren't they?
Yep, they just need to get something where they need to get drive. Something to kind of get, you know, you're talking about positive. Let's find something that kind of to hang our hats on.
Well, they've gotten a 1st down or 2 here or there. They just are unable to build on that. And Lund throws that complete just for a couple yards. Again, it's all about building. It doesn't have to all happen immediately.
No.
So Oak Park team, again, just looking to get on the board. Tim Kenny joked with me and said, we just want to score at some point here. And I think we know this Oak Park program, what they've done over the years. He'll certainly have them back in contention. It's more a matter of when than if, although a challenging league campaign.
Well, they've got 3 receivers and only 2 defenders out here, you would think.
Well, I think that play speaks for itself. A late penalty flag that will probably be unnecessary roughness against Nordhoff, but the quarterback handed the ball off when Nordhoff was basically waiting for exactly that play. Your thoughts, Derry? I see you deep in focus. Personal foul and a first down.
Yep. Yeah, it's the same thing again. They've got 3 guys over here as receivers and only 2 defenders.
Let's see how Nordhoff lines up differently, if at all. Let's see if Oak Park can exploit that.
I think what they're trying to do is throw a little screen out here with 3 guys on 2, but Nordhoff is reacting to it very well.
Oak Park will split things 4 wide now with the clock running in this opening quarter. First game of September, and it certainly looks like it in some ways, as Fatemi drops a football. Thrown right to Fatemi, and second down now. Got to make those kind of catches.
Yep, you got to make that. I mean, obviously it could have been a better pass, but I mean, it was a catchable ball.
And you're the player that everyone's looking at.
Yep.
You know, and not just looking at, but looking to in a lot of ways, and I'm sure.
And most of the pass has been directed to him. I mean, he looks to be like the centerpiece of their offense right now.
On 2nd and 10, Lund throws Abade. That's complete. We'll give him 7.5 yards. And I think he looks like the Westlake transfer. He looks to be the real target at the wide receiver position.
Yep. And it looks like Nordhoff is content to kind of give him those 4-yard pass yards, but I mean, as long as they don't give anything beyond that
little zone,
they can't let him get by them.
Did get 7 there. Now the motion man, Fatemi.
Oh.
And another penalty flag. Is that possibly delay of game? Nope. A false start. And there you go, a manageable 3rd down and 3. I think they would have picked it up, but now Oak Park has to work backward to 3rd down and 8.
It's those little things that are, I'm sure, bit them last week. I mean, you can't make mistakes like that against real good programs like Bishop Giga last week and Nordhoff this week.
Lund will throw, pressure well held. A little bit of an errant toss, about 12 yards downfield. I think you have to look at that and be pleased that Lund had plenty of time to throw the football. That, however, does bring up 4th down.
Well, thanks to the penalty, they kind of got some breathing room to kind of punt. Nordhoff should have some great field position again.
Yet again. We'll see where the ball is marked out of bounds. At the 43-yard line, and the Rangers start from there with 3:09 to go.
Well, they started at the Oak Park 48, their own 36, the Oak Park 22, and now their own 43. So their field position has just been outstanding.
Remember, Nordhoff beat Oak Park 6 straight times until the Eagles' 23-3 win last season. I think that came as a surprise to a lot of us, frankly. Not the fact that Oak Park was able to overcome that Nordhoff team, but the fact that they were able to do so in such dominant fashion. Complete beyond the 45 and wrestled down at the 40-yard line is Bailey Rogers. He's looking ultra dangerous, the kick returner. When you lose so many weapons the way Nordhoff did, you have to develop new weapons. And I think if this is a Nordhoff team that is extremely competitive in their league and division, as we imagine, we might see some of those players developing kind of before our eyes. And Shane Hirsch has dropped for a yard loss, as I say that.
Well, Santino's was with the varsity last year, so one of the good things that he was probably on scout team, so he got to practice against the #1 defense week in and week out, and that's probably helped his development quite a bit.
That was a great defense last year.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible Nordhoff defense and what they were able to do until they were eventually upended by Corona Del Mar in the state playoffs. What a special run. Here's Hirsch. That was a special run as well, as he gets 6 yards down to the 35. 3rd down and 5 now for Hirsch. Such a competitive player. His coach told me he's one of the most competitive players I've ever coached, and he's been coaching at the college level since 2005. What a statement to make about Hirsch.
Boy, he just goes straight ahead and just keeps those legs moving. It's hard to bring him down.
Quick little route to Carmona. Carmona, 7 yards on the hitch and a Nordhoff 1st down. I think Oak Park is so dialed in regards to stopping Hirsch and this Nordhoff run game that they're just going to leave those wide receivers pretty much open on the flanks.
Yeah, they've got single coverage out there, and they're bound to hit one of those guys pretty well for a big gain here pretty soon.
Great atmosphere here, nice crowd. Band is playing, handoff Hirsch. Hirsch is taken down, stays on his feet actually, and then he's taken down. He shook off about 3 tacklers, stretched it wide to the right, and ended up losing a couple more yards. But the term bowling ball, as it was dictated to me, really rings true with this young man.
Well, he's twisting and turning and churning, and he's creating things on his own.
I'll have a couple score updates for you when we move to the end of the 1st quarter. Santino throws that route and it's caught. What a fantastic catch that was from Nick Sterling. I didn't see any way he would come down with that, but he adjusted his body properly. Sterling hauls it in. 1st and goal, Rangers. Quite a grab.
Well, I think Oak Park had a defender on there, and I think he had a great defensive position on him. He was able to come up with a great catch.
Here's Hirsch. 3rd time's a charm. 30.3 seconds left in the opening quarter. He's on the board for the 3rd time. Nordhoff 20, Oak Park nothing.
Well, I'll tell you what, they've made some adjustments from last week, obviously.
Absolutely.
Or Channel Islands is better than...
Well, that's probably part of it, but it really doesn't matter who you're playing to. To struggle to really finish, which is what they did last week. They just couldn't finish off Channel Islands. They couldn't finish drives, and now they're doing all the above as Cooper Garcia puts the PAT through. I'm sure they made some big changes, some big alterations, and it's really paying off here as Nordhoff is running riot in this opening quarter.
Well, everything is just really in sync. You know, the passing game is just really smooth. He's very relaxed. He's finding guys who are open.
Well, as you mentioned, Santino was a great example of where this team is compared with where the Oak Park team is. Okay, last year, Lund was on the JV team playing quarterback for Oak Park, whereas Santino was in practice going against a defense that reached a state semifinal. You know, going against the top-level defense. These are varsity players for Nordhoff that just waited their turn. For Oak Park, these are young players that have now been promoted to varsity.
Well, and a lot of these guys from Oak Park, I mean, they got in a lot of games because there were some big wipeouts by the...
For Oak Park.
For Oak Park.
Only 4 of them actually played in games
talking
at
about,
all.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about
Nordhoff.
These guys got a lot of game play.
Fatemi takes it on his own 3 after that bounce. Yes, for Oak Park, only 4 players played at all. For Nordhoff, most of these individuals played, at least a little bit.
Right.
You look at the seniors, Rogers, Sterling, McGrew. They're not newcomers to varsity football. Hirsch, they're not newcomers to varsity football. They're just kids who had to wait their turn to be the stars in town. Right. I think that's the difference here. And boy, they've put on the show so far.
And you've got an Oak Park team that's having 5 freshmen among its 27 new players.
Timeout on the field, called by the Nordhoff Rangers. Let's get to some of the scores, and I will take comments from the Deuce. And all of you, by the way, it'd be great to hear from you in our interactive chat room on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel. Pinkston finds Logan Alexander on just a 5-yard out, but he takes it another 35 for a 40-yard touchdown. It's 7-0. Simi Valley leads Buena. DeAndre Vines with a 67-yard punt return for a touchdown, as Pacifica has jumped out to a 21-0 lead over Reseda. Pacifica looks good so far. It's tough to tell with these city section schools as to how good they are in regards to Reseda, but any way you look at it, Pacifica Oxnard is building to be a great game to conclude this season.
Oh, for sure. You know, Pacifica got the Wainimi transfer quarterback, Adam Salas, and he has some great talent to complement his passing abilities. I would think tonight he's gone over 5,000 yards for his career passing. So he's kind of on his way to the 6,000 and 7,000 yard mark. He's been a guy that people have forgotten about.
Absolutely, that Pacific team is dangerous. Oxnard against Quartz Hill, they're scoreless. 9:12 left in the second quarter. Oxnard returned to punt for a touchdown, but it was called back. Nordhoff out of the timeout is called for an offside penalty. That moves the ball up 5 yards on the encroachment. And now Oak Park can try to go to work. 1st and 5. Shane Hirsch showing blitz. Jacob Lund looks back to the sideline. Think about it from the other side. Hirsch coming at you on a blitz. Lund, quick toss, complete. 10 up to the 12 and beyond the 15-yard line. That will probably be the final play of this opening quarter, Derry, but at least a first down for Oak Park as they try to get things rolling, and will likely move to the opposite side of the field here as the lights begin to really take over at Oak Park High School. First quarter comes to a close. Your thoughts, Deuce?
Well, that's only their second first down. The other one was by a penalty.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah, so that's a different play than they've been doing. First time they threw to the short side.
This is the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel. The Nordhoff Rangers lead the Oak Park Eagles 21-0. For all your vacation needs, you know what to do. Head to your local Ventura County Auto Club office, Camarillo, Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley, and Ventura, or visit aaa.com/travel. Now, I'm trying to remember, did I bring? Yes, I brought my Auto Club card, okay? And here's why. First of all, you'll notice it's gold, okay? And look at this, years as a member. How many years have I been a member?
I don't think you were even born then.
65 years, okay? This Auto Club membership has been passed down through my family. I am a gold club member. 65 years we've been with the Auto Club. How do you like that?
Pretty good.
I didn't even know there were cars then. My parents are going to kill me for that one.
Wow. You didn't know that they made cars back in the 1880s,
Yeah.
1890s?
No, right, but nobody was really driving them.
Of course, they were called horseless carriages.
Yeah,
back then.
right. What about in Texas? Did you have a horse?
No, I didn't.
You didn't have a horse. Did you have a car?
I had a car when I was in college.
There you go. Lund, play fake, and he's taken to the deck by Joe York.
You don't want to do any play fake.
No.
Against this.
You just have him get rid of the ball as
Yep,
quickly
yep.
as possible.
Yep.
There it is, Derry. 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
The 50-50 raffle is now at $150.
Well, they get a first down and then a sack on the following play.
At least they're getting a 1 step forward. At least they're getting that. You know, Lund has not done too bad. I mean, he's completed 5 out of 9 passes, but they're only been for 16 yards. So it's been 2 yards here, 3 yards there.
Well, you know, that's one thing his head coach Tim Kenny said to me in our interview earlier in the week. As Lund is corralled to the ground, a loss of 4 yards. He threw 3 interceptions last week when he came on in his first varsity game. And really, 2 of the 3 were not his fault. The wide receivers just weren't able to haul the ball in. I think, obviously, Coach Kenny doesn't want to just throw blame on players, but I think he's just trying to help out his quarterback's attitude a little bit as the season progresses.
Well, it was an eye-opener for these guys in their first varsity game last week.
Here's Lund hurling it downfield, and he overthrows a body on 3rd down. And Oak Park will now punt.
You know, he's not making mistakes, per se, you know, except for that fumble, but that was not a...
He had gained 8 yards on the play. It wasn't a mental mistake.
You know, last week he threw 3 interceptions. I mean, he's cleared that out where he's throwing short passes to where the guys have a chance to catch it.
10:42.
That play, he just threw it away, which was a smart play.
Oak Park having some problems with their
getting personnel in.
Yeah, punt personnel. Let's see if they can get this away.
Boy, that punter's done a great job under a lot of pressure.
Great field position, though. Penalty flags down. 15 inside the 10, and Bailey Rogers finally goes out of bounds at the 5. Although I have to think this one's coming back.
Yeah.
You would agree with me on that?
I would agree with you.
Great minds think
reluctantly.
alike. Great minds think alike. This is VCS Prep's Game of the Week, brought to you by the Ventura County Star. Of course, VCStar.com is your local news site. I know it's my local news site. It's also the Deuce's local news site. Nowhere else can you find the most comprehensive and up-to-date news, sports, entertainment, whatever you want, and it's all about what's happening in your city and your neighborhood. Visit VCStar.com today, where Ventura County goes for it. I was glued to VCStar.com all week because I'll tell you one thing. If that albino snake was anywhere near this stadium, I wasn't coming to this game. It was going to be you and the snake on the commentary, okay? That animal was frightening. I woke up in the middle of the night having had a horrible nightmare about that white snake.
You didn't think he was going over the grade, did you?
No, I don't know. It was in TO, wasn't it?
It was in TO.
Well, it's the same area, kind of.
It's a long way for a snake to go.
It's about 10 miles.
When everybody's searching for you, that snake ain't going to go 20, 30 miles, I don't think.
Didn't even make it off his own block. Handoff goes to York, who, as I said, there are times early in the season when players emerge, when they go from being a new starter to being a staple of a team. And I think one of those players we're looking at is Joe York, who will play at running back. He'll play at defensive end, number 23 for this Nordhoff team.
It's a great opportunity for him to really kind of have some really positive success as you look toward the Troy Valley League season.
Out route for 5 yards, taken inside the 25-yard line.
More like about a 9-yard gain.
Yes, simply the pass itself was 5 yards, I was saying. It was a 5-yard out that he turned into a 10-yard gain.
5 of 6 for 68 yards for Mr. Santino.
He's another quarterback, obviously, along with Lund, that wants to build confidence, and they can go about it slightly different ways, I would say.
Well, and also looking, to have players confident in him as that leadership role.
Thrown to Carmona inside the 5.
Nice defensive play. Nice defensive play by the Oak Park defender there.
Yeah, it was Nick Despain. Really player that when Coach Kenny got to campus, saw him in spring practice and said, okay, here's a player on our hands. 5'10", 140 pounds, number 22, Nick Despain. That means Nick of Spain.
Nick of Spain?
Wanted to let you know
Did
that.
you learn that on your European tour again?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They don't speak Spanish in Barcelona. They speak Catalan. Here's an inside give. York bounces it outside. And he's upended. It's to Spain again. One more time. That's Nick of Spain. Tackle at the 18-yard line. Michael McGuire there to help out. McGuire, a sophomore linebacker. Tyler Stump, also a sophomore at the linebacker position. You have 4 juniors on the D-line for Oak Park. A lot of room to grow for this crew. Sounds like our team.
Yeah.
3rd down and 5. I formation. Has to be Hirsch, right? Hirsch breaks off 1 tackler, but no more than that. And Nordhoff, I would imagine, will attempt a field goal.
And they've got a pretty good kicker.
Yeah, they do. You know, Cooper Garcia was 10 of 15 last year. He was only 1 of 3 last week, and he was really frustrated this week in practice about that performance. And he's a confident kid. When I interviewed him last year in the playoffs, he said, I hope it comes down to a game-winning field goal because I'm going to make it. I mean, this is a really confident young man. Let's see what he can do here.
Did he have a great game against Bishop Diego?
Yeah, absolutely massive. 34 yards out, he won't even get a chance to kick, as the snap was never put down for Nordhoff. Atticus Reyes couldn't get that one to the ground. Snap itself might have been a little bit high. Nobody hanging their head on the Nordhoff sideline. It's still 21-0.
Well, that's a positive for Oak Park. Hey, get what you can. Well, if Oak Park can get some kind of a big play here, it'd be so much for their confidence.
Fatemi there. No gain. Call it 2nd and 10, might be 2nd and 11. There are a couple returning players on the line. The left and right tackle spots. Nick Brown, Brian Weitzman. Weitzman a captain, although he didn't really play very much last year, I'm told. Lund and Co. will work from the pistol.
Oops, offsides in Oak Park. Well, illegal procedure.
Yeah, illegal procedure, false start, one way or another. 7:25 to go.
Left tackle kind of raised up a little bit too soon.
Camarillo is trailing past Robles, by the way, thanks to John Catalini. What up, John? 14-7. Part of the way through the second quarter. We love hearing about the scores and your opinions on these games. Any questions you may have for the Deuce?
Oh,
that
what a
goes
play.
through Lund's hands to Fatemi.
Get a rebound on
3-yard
that?
loss. Pretty wild play. It was by design, right? They were planning to do that all along.
Oh, okay.
At least that's what an old football coach would say. You can't fault this Oak Park program for how they've certainly worked together as a group to try to grow and build. They've established a 0 period for football. The kids come in every morning and watch film of practice from the night before. The commitment is surely there. Just going to take a little time.
Yep. They're going to get better. You know, they've got their schedule to where they're playing Tri-Valley League teams before they go into the Camino League season. So they're going to get better. I have full confidence in them.
Let's take a look at that schedule, shall we? Here, Derry, is next week a home game against Fillmore. 3 straight home games to start the season. Fillmore's trailing Channel Islands, by the way, 3-0. That game literally just started. Oak Park then goes on the road to Carp and to Santa Paula. They host Verbum Day and Royal for homecoming. before road trips to Simi and Calabasas and a home game against Agora. The funny thing is, last year's Oak Park team probably could have, you know, really competed, not just, excuse me, that was Oak Park's schedule, yes, not just in the Canyon League, but what I wanted to say is that Oak Park could have competed in the Camino League, probably. They could have beaten Newberry Park and Camarillo.
I think they could have had a chance to win it, yep, for sure.
But it's just a year of rebuilding. This whole Camino and Canyon thing is absolutely killing me. I just keep confusing myself. Out of the timeout, 3rd and 17.
Oh,
nice throw and catch.
Hey, there we go.
Beyond the 40, good for a first down.
There we go. That may be the play that kind of breaks this team up.
A really nice throw by Lund, kind of behind the receiver. And a fine grab. Lucas Flamer, who wasn't even talked about as far as the skill players to watch in my conversation with Coach Kenny. Nice grab.
19-yard play.
It's their long gain of the night. And as the clock continues to run, we're more than halfway through the second quarter here. Working our way to halftime on the Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel. Danny Page and the Deuce Dairy Eats. Handoff, Fatemi. Now he's beyond the 45. Back-to-back positive plays, 46-yard line. Okay. Things are happening here.
Well, if they can just have a really good, nice, sustained drive, I think it'll mean so much to this program against a team of Nordhoff's caliber.
It is just about building confidence incrementally.
It really is.
Play fake. Lund, downfield, a body!
Oh,
off his fingertips. Oh, he wants that one back. Penalty flag down in the backfield.
That was a well-thrown ball.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. So Oak Park gets 15 yards out of it. It was a nice throw, and Abate just couldn't haul it in. Those are the toughest ones to catch. You have so much time to think about it, just can't haul it in.
Kind of out there all by yourself. You got nobody around to block it, and all of a sudden, you just can't haul it in.
So many things go through your head, too. Here's Fatemi trying to sweep out wide to the left. He had a lot of room there, Derry, but you know who tracked him down from behind? Who else? Shane Hirsch.
Tell you what.
Nice tackle.
We've seen about 3 or 4 snaps from the center that have been really high, and they need to kind of get that corrected because that slows up the whole play.
I'm sure that's something Coach Kenny
will address.
Has on his list, yeah, on the to-do list for this week. Top of the to-do list, though, Derry, score. He told me that. We need to score some points.
Oh,
there's a bad snap. Fatemi gets it. He could probably throw the ball. Sweeps out left beyond the 45. Count that for a 6-yard loss. It's 3rd and 15 now as the wind begins to pick up a little bit here. Having problems with the snap, certainly. Although Lund would have been in the shotgun last year, it doesn't seem like too much has changed as far as the offensive approach here at Oak Park from last season. I would say the same goes for Nordhoff in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Nordhoff maintaining the pro-style approach, occasionally spreading it out using an H-back, whereas Oak Park likes to spread it out and utilize some zone blocking. Oh, nearly picked off and ultimately caught.
Oh, what a play.
Spectacular grab.
What a catch, yep.
Lucas Flamer it is, a 2-yard gain, but it's still 4th and 13. We've seen some spectacular plays on this drive, Derry. Oak Park appears that they are going to punt.
Boy, if they kind of get out of this quarter being down only 21-0 things, again, a little trouble with the personnel, getting the personnel out there.
They got a Nordhoff player to jump as well. 3rd and 8. Might go for it here.
It's 4th down.
4th and 8, pardon me, but you got the idea.
I got the idea.
Change in personnel, and the Eagles are going to go for it. 4th down and 8 on the 37. I at least had that part of it right, if I might have missed the down.
Yeah, well,
okay. Clock inside of 3 minutes. Oak Park looking for their first points of the season and now their 6th quarter of play. They'll have 3 wide receivers. Split out to the far side. Lund looking to throw that way, and it's picked off. Looks like it'll go the other way for the Rangers. Bailey Rogers inside the 30, and this will go for 6. Touchdown, Nordhoff. He stars on kick return and now takes this one to the house as a defensive back. A lot of talent on the field for the Rangers as they take it the other way, 27-zip.
Well, he just sat and waiting for that one.
He was just waiting for that one, was Rogers, and I think that really it's something he had been anticipating throughout the game. The catch and run by Rogers makes it 27-0 with Garcia looking to add the extra point. Up and through. And with 2:26 play in the opening half of play on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel, the Rangers are on top, 28-0. The one thing I will say I've enjoyed out here, there's certainly a lot of school spirit here at Oak Park, the band. I mean, the stands are probably 75% plus full, which is impressive. And you know what? If you've got a lot of school spirit, you'll want to check out the Ventura County Stars School Spirit Showdown at vcstar.com/school spirit. Your school could win $500. Participants are registered to win individual prizes as well. That's vcstar.com/school spirit. Let's check in on the matchups this week, shall we? They're loading at the moment. I'll have them for you in a moment. But make sure to check that out. That's vcstar.com/school spirit. Derry,
so what do you do? Do you submit a video, or how do you compete in this contest?
I think you vote, basically. You go in and you register and you vote. Some of the matchups coming up next week are Moore Park Camarillo, St. Bonaventure Pacifica, Nordhoff Buena. How do you like this one? Foothill Tech against Ventura. That is a budding rivalry.
And they don't even compete in football.
Soon enough. I don't think Ventura.
So it's your overall sports. Okay.
You know, I haven't played because I'm no longer a high school student, but I will next week, Derry, and I'll have that information for you. How's that?
Okay.
Your high school's not in there, though. I'm sorry. You're not allowed to play.
You mean the Eastwood Troopers? Not in there?
The Eastwood Troopers. No, they didn't. You ever keep up with the Eastwood Troopers and how they're doing?
I haven't in a few years.
What is that, 4A?
No, it's 5A.
It is 5A?
It's a big school. Got to know what our colors are. Blue and gold.
Blue
Troopers.
and gold?
Yeah.
Teams from that part of the state ever make it to the big playoff game? And it's all about the Dallas teams, isn't it? Quite a bit. Fumbled again.
Usually the 4A teams have more of a chance of getting in there.
Gotcha. Well, it is 28-0 at this moment as we make our way towards halftime. Oak Park will receive the ball in the second half of play. The game's gone by rather quickly, I would say, as Oak Park has struggled to get it running again. You have to hope they get on the board at some point here. Buena's jumped in front of Simi Valley, 10-7. 2:58 to go in the second quarter. As this is complete to Fatemi. Fatemi's beyond the 20.
First down. No, a
Third
little bit
and
short.
Third
yeah,
and
third and
nine.
9. I'm sorry. I didn't see the other
Nordhoff actually decides to take time out on 3rd and 9. They might want to run another play. You never would guess how Buena scored. Josh Cookson on a 60-yard run, and then Noah Martinez finishes the drive off. I mean, that is a great 1-2 combination, isn't it?
It really is. And one of the things I really liked about Buena last week is the physicality they've had, you know, especially in the secondary. Boy, they really hit you hard. There was a couple of the Royal players kind of limp off the field, about 2 or 3 receivers.
When you talk about a Tim Gutierrez team, the first thing everyone wants to discuss, obviously, would be offense because of his time at St. Bonaventure. Naturally, you would gravitate to a discussion about the offense, and I think this is a really quality offensive unit, but to me, the group that stuck out most last week was the defense. They really performed in an outstanding manner.
They really did. I mean, they made 3 really good goal line stands against Royal, holding them to field goals.
3rd down, tipped in the air, incomplete. The Eagles will now be forced to punt. Bailey Rogers back to receive this with 92 seconds left. Nordhoff wants to add another one before the half.
Yeah.
And they just may.
They'll have time.
The score in this game, the same tally in Long Beach as Ricky Town hits Levon Alston, a 34-yard touchdown pass, 28-0. St. Bonnie leads in the second quarter. Swirling kick. Great call there from Bailey Rogers to get one of his blockers away from the ball. It looked to me like Marco Diaz, the starting defensive back, was running straight into that ball, and it would have been a live ball, but Rogers called him off. Those are the type of intelligent plays that players who have played in these situations before can make.
Yep, you're exactly right. And you got to credit coaching. Hey, coaching they're practicing that too.
Eric Monson from Washington. Certainly familiar with this area, though. 6 years at Cal Lutheran.
It certainly has helped in his transition to Nordhoff to have a guy like Cliff Farrar, who's coaching with the JV around to kind of help him with all kinds of stuff.
Wide open, hauled in by McGrew. One play and done, 45-yard score. Nordhoff leads 34-0. If it isn't Hirsch or Rogers, it's McGrew. Touchdown toss for Santino, his 2nd on the season. And the Rangers lead 34-0. I should say 2nd of his career. Pardon me.
Santino's 6 of 8 for 113 yards.
That's what he's capable of.
Yep.
Nice throw.
Well, they had Oak Park trying to stop the run. And boy, they were able to just pop one out there.
So we're just about set to head to halftime. Newberry Park is on top 14-0. Saugus, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
For what?
Newberry Park.
Yeah.
That's just off the top of my head. Simi is back in front 14-10. Dane Kenworthy takes back the ensuing kickoff, and the Pioneers lead with 3 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Well, that's going to be a great game. It already is.
And it's one thing that Lauren talked about, and I say Lauren first name basis because he's sitting 2 seats to my left. It's great to have the lockup here with us.
We would be saying other words when we're talking instead of Lauren.
He mentioned it earlier. These could be playoff games later on in the season. They very well could be. Kick away out of the back of the end zone, and Oak Park will have the ball. With 1:13 left, what do they do here? Run the ball, run at least a play or two, I think.
And because they're kind of potential rematches in the playoffs, maybe in the future you think about not scheduling them during the regular season. That's
absolutely. That could create a tough matchup. We're going to our first reporter here for the night. Joe Curley is in the building. Well, in a theoretical sense, Joe is actually down in Long Beach for the St. Bonaventure Cabrillo game. Joe, how are the Seraphs doing?
Daniel, down here in Long Beach, 3 touchdowns for Chris Santoyo. Short field. The opening kickoff was a muff. They had an interception, just had another interception actually. St. Bonaventure spent the entire first half on the short field, converting easy drives, and it's 28-0. St. Bonaventure driving again with 5:27 left to go. First half, Chris Santoyo, 3 touchdowns. Got a 34-yard touchdown pass from Ricky Town to Levon Alston.
Joe, this seems like it's exactly what the Seraph faithful needed after they were a little bit frustrated with the defeat last week.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a different level of competition. Last week they're playing the best team in San Diego, or the best program in San Diego at least. And, you know, Long Beach Cabrillo isn't even the best team in their town. But, you know, physically it's a good test. Cabrillo looked like a big team. And it's a good second game after that big road test down at Helix, when they, you know, I'm sure have a bad taste in their mouth after losing on the road, and you know, they're well on their way to evening that record at 1-1.
Timeout here at this game. The thing the Seraphs, I believe, have yet again is just tremendous size. They just look so much bigger than their opponents, don't they?
Yeah, you know, typical St. Bonaventure on the offensive line, and although today, you know, this Cabrillo team's got size, St. Bonaventure's actually winning on special teams and defense so far.
Interesting stuff, Joe. You're the man. We appreciate it. We'll continue following your updates throughout the night.
Thanks, man.
Thanks to Joe Curley. I really like this new feature, especially in the second half of a rather one-sided game like this. Oak Park takes a knee, and that should end this opening half here.
With the score, Nordhoff 35 and Oak Park.
Well, Oak Park had a few moments in there, but I think they only had about 2 or 3 first downs. Just couldn't really sustain anything. And credit to the Nordhoff defense for just totally dominating a young Oak Park offense.
I will say this, though. If you look at the figures and the way things have gone in this half, yes, it is 35-0. But I would say that from Tim Kenny's point of view, Oak Park's just taken that next step a little bit. They're completing more of their passes. They're creating some positive plays.
Yep.
All right, we will take a break here for halftime on the VCS Preps Game of the Week, presented by AAA Travel. And when we return, the second half of play. At the moment, it is all Nordhoff. They lead the Oak Park Eagles 35-0. A trifecta of touchdowns from Shane Hirsch. We'll see you for the second half. The Nordhoff Rangers set to kick away as we prepare to start the second half on the VCS Preps game of the week. 35-0 though, Derry. Wow.
Well, Nordhoff defense played a great game. The first half, they had 7 tackles for losses and had minus 43 yards in rushing for Oak Park. And then Oak Park had just like 2 total yards offense in the first half. A lot of pressure by the Nordhoff defense. Oak Park had 3 first downs, 2 of them by a penalty. And on the other side of the field, Nordhoff's offense is really in really good sync. Some really good passes from Santino, 6 of 8 for 113 yards. And then Hirsch has just been dominant with his touchdown runs.
Yeah, I think both two teams have improved a bit here and there from where they were last season, but Nordhoff really seems to be coming into their own in a lot of ways now. This group of players, the contributors last year, are becoming stars tonight.
Right.
17-12 last week and 35-0 tonight at halftime. That's out of the back of the end zone. Nordhoff will move from right to left here on the VCS Preps game of the week, presented by AAA Travel. Oak Park trots back out. Jacob Lund, he's supposed to be the backup quarterback, forced into a starting role. Ideally, he'd be the starter on JV, his coach told me. But they needed him on varsity. He's had a much better night than he did his first. You got to say that.
Yeah, I mean, he's thrown some pretty good balls. They just haven't really been able to get any yards after the catch. He's thrown a couple good throws. He had one that was a real long pass here that was just dropped inside the Nordhoff 15.
There's 5 yards in a cloud of dust on the keeper. Oak Park in the all black with gold trim, black uniforms, black numbers, which I obviously have massive trouble with seeing a lot of the numbers. Although I have trouble in general. Second and 4, Derry. Why do you think they ran that little QB keeper? And they're doing it again.
I think
Just get a first down, take a little pressure off.
I think this is kind of what I kind of thought Oak Park would come out and start doing at the first of the game. Establishing a run. And really, why not? I mean, coming back from a 35 to nothing deficit is going to be tough enough. But, hey, let's kind of find an identity. Let's find some things that we can do to have some kind of success in the second half. Maybe not win the game, but at least let's move the chain a few times. Get something going for the next game.
That is certainly what you called for. Let's see what they do here on third down. They couldn't do it again, could they? Just the QB sneak up the middle?
No. I think they're going to throw it again to the sideline.
Need to get the play off. Lund making a change as he took the sign from the sideline.
Oh,
snaps over his head. A Nordhoff player is there first. Can't scoop it and score, though, as the ball's recovered by Oak Park and the Eagles forced to punt inside their own 10. That's been a recurring issue, too, hasn't it?
Yep. We had discussed that quite a bit. The high snaps from the center have been, especially that second quarter, it was one after another. That's a shame because, you know, they had a really chance to kind of get something going. And now they have negative yardage for the game.
Nordhoff has to get a couple players off the field to avoid a penalty for too many men, and the penalty flag's down. This would force a repunt. Bailey Rogers scoops this up. Inside the 25, another penalty flag. And let's see what Oak Park decides to do. Probably re-kick, I would guess, with nearly 2.5 minutes elapsed in this third quarter.
Could be offsetting penalties too.
I believe one will go for too many men on the field, and the other looked like it was a problem with a block downfield for the Rangers. Let's wait and see.
Considerable discussion.
Yeah, this is going on for a while.
And they're talking to the Oak Park coaches about what they want to do, their options.
Yeah.
They're having 2 officials over to discuss the options.
I think it would be either Nordhoff ball on probably about the 40 or so yard line, or a re-kick from the 15. At least that's my understanding of the rules.
Boy, now they've got 3 officials over there to talk with the Oak Park coaches.
Nordhoff, meanwhile, has their special teams unit in. And a different punt returner back. This time around, it's Max Carmona, the junior. And the decision has been made.
Looks like they're going to bring it back, huh?
Illegal substitution is the penalty, and a re-kick is the result, as the penalty will be marked off from the 9-yard line. That's actually a 15-yard penalty for too many men on the field. I wasn't aware it was that vicious of a penalty. 15 yards, all right. Here's one thing that Oak Park really needs to get squared away is their punt away blocking. They've had some problems with personnel.
Yeah, personnel, getting the right personnel on the field.
Snap is away. It's another nice kick. Carmona will take it at the 44, working beyond the right hash toward the right sideline, and is hauled down inside 40. So had they taken the other penalties, would have ended up in about the same place. Isn't that how it works out?
Yep.
See what type of changes Nordhoff decides to make here in the second half. They are all over their opponent, Oak Park, tonight. Oh, how things have changed for Oak Park. 23-3 winners over Nordhoff a year ago, and now breaking in so many different players on this team. Really just one returning, not even starter, one returning player who contributed at all. It's just a staggering turnover.
Well, I brought Santino back. Probably play one series, I would think.
Yeah, if they score. 42-0 is more than likely sufficient. Handoff, Hirsch. Hirsch bowls his way for 7-8 yards. If you're just joining us here on the VCS Preps Game of the Week, Shane Hirsch put on quite a show in the opening quarter of play. 3 touchdown runs, over 100 yards rushing. And since then, Nordhoff has taken advantage of a couple of big plays. Bailey Rogers, 70-yard interception return on 4th down and 5. And then Austin Santino, the quarterback, a long touchdown pass late in the half as they lead Oak Park, who's still looking for their first score of the season. Here's Hirsch, who will try to push this outside. Tumbles for a first down. Your thoughts, Derry, again, for those just joining us on Shane Hirsch and what you've seen from him tonight?
Oh, he just really excels, especially running inside the tackles. Boy, he just gets a lot of momentum going real fast. He gets, he's almost at full speed by about his 3rd or 4th step.
He's growing in confidence, too. Not really growing in size. He's a big kid already, is Hirsch. 5'8", but 180 pounds. He goes right up the middle.
Deceptive speed.
Inside the 20-yard line.
And 39 yards rushing for him.
158 last week on 32 carries. He's going to be a workhorse type back, isn't he?
Yep.
Some of those bigger games, 30 carries, 200-plus yards. I see those type of figures forthcoming for Shane Hirsch.
But we've also seen Mr. York come in and do some pretty good carries that, if he can spell him pretty well, it's going to really help the Nordhoff cause.
And here is York. Cuts back inside the 5. First and goal, Rangers from the 2-yard line. And Joe York, converted running back, starting at the defensive end spot. I expected to see him primarily on defense, but he's come in offensively and has really made some plays here. It's nice when you have a defensive end as your backup running back.
Yeah.
Now both will be in with Santino, excuse me. And there's York. York is in. Touchdown, Rangers. 41-0 Deuce, and that will certainly do it. It's been all about the ground game to open things up for the Rangers, and they lead big.
Well, they've really mixed it up with the passing game. They haven't had to throw very often. They're 6 of 8 for 113 yards. But they've really attacked the middle of the Oak Park defensive line.
Kick goes through for Cooper Garcia. Although there's a penalty flag on the field, we'll have to see exactly what the referees make of this one. It's against Oak Park. And the kick is good. 42-0 now. We are definitely staring down a running clock later in this game. Once we hit the 4th quarter, that is a more than likely case. But the game of the night is going on between Buena and Simi. It looks like an absolutely outstanding contest. The one and only Eric Evelhawk, who you frequently hear on the VCS Preps Game of the Week. Eric is out there at the game. Eric, good evening. You guys have a good one, don't you?
Underway here at Buena High Stadium. Thus far, the story has been
having
the big
couple problems
picked up by Simi Valley.
Eric here. We will do our best to bring him along momentarily. Eric, let's try this one more time. Eric Evelhawk out at the Buena Simi contest. Eric, you there, bud?
Danny, yes, I am, and it has been quite
still
the
having
game
problems
thus
with
far.
that connection. We'll obviously keep things going. Oh, you have him over there, Anthony. Eric, continue, please. Sorry, Eric, continue with that update. I cut you off there. All right, we'll work on that a little bit more for next week. How's that?
All right.
Our connection abilities are kind of running like the.
It's about a 15-yard sack for a connection.
I would have been a terrible quarterback.
And the loss of fumble.
That was definitely a turnover. Just to look at some of the scores here, it is 21-13. Simi leading. They've made big plays against this Buena team as that pass is complete to the far side of the field. Westlake is leading Red Mountain, as you see, as well.
What score of that game?
20-17 at halftime.
Wow. And that's without their big-time receiver, Basella.
Yeah, some injuries for Westlake. That's a really big issue, isn't it? So early in the year, too. A grueling schedule. We were having an interesting debate, weren't we, with the lock about Westlake going out and playing that difficult schedule. You really oppose it in a lot of ways, don't you?
Well, I mean, it's good to play those teams, but you know, when you go one after the other for about 4 weeks in a row, you get concerned about how your guys going to be physically. It's going to wear you down.
Then how do you get prepared for the Pac-5 is my only question. It's a difficult postseason conference to get ready for. Division, I should say, as this is almost intercepted again by Nordhoff. Bailey Rogers, who already took one to the house, almost had another interception, and Oak Park has to punt.
It's good to play those teams to get ready for the physical and the speed of the game. But you're also, you're playing Oaks Christian and Moore Park and St. Bonaventure in your league games. They're going to help you get prepared for them. If you're not ready for physically, when you get into league play against those guys, it could cost you even getting into the playoffs to begin with.
Strung out to the left side, Carmona. Carmona inside the 30, still going. Penalty flag down, and that's one thing that Nordhoff needs to work on that we've seen tonight. A lot of penalties on special teams, and as their schedule progresses and their season moves along, that's just something they can't do. No. Can't make those mistakes. Would you agree?
Yeah, but they're kind of. This is where it kind of gets. You got to get a little mentally tough at this point. It's easily just to kind of give up a little bit and kind of go through the motions, but you got to play hard. Hey, you've got 8 more games to play. You've got to get ready for next week.
Well, the Rangers do go home. They've been on the road for 2 games. They go home for 3 straight, Derry, in a span of 15 days. But that said, these are not easy games. They take on Lompoc at home, who's been a snap here or there away from a state championship game a couple times out. Felt like they were really snubbed a couple years ago. How about North from Torrance, who's gone deep into the Northwest Division playoffs, obviously. It's who they beat, actually, 2 years ago in the final. And then Paso. And Paso's one of the better teams in the Pac-5, not the Pac-5 division, but the Pac-5 league, as it's now called in Central California. So those are 3 difficult home games.
Yep.
3rd and 2. A lot to work on for Nordhoff. They'll hope to be a much better team next week than they are this week, and I think it's safe to say that they're a better team this week than they were last week. And when you have a young group of players, when you're a new head coach, as Eric Monson is, that's just how you want to get things done.
Yep.
Another give, weaving his way to a first down and more is Joe York. His 2nd TD in just a couple minutes as Nordhoff nears 50. Wow. Running downhill.
Yep.
Really nothing can stop this Nordhoff ground game at this point. And this one is certainly done.
We're going to have a running clock here pretty soon, as soon as the 4th quarter starts.
Sounds like you're ready for it.
Well, I'm sure that Oak Park is ready for it.
Yeah, at this point. They made some strides here and there. They would take 1 step forward and then take a couple steps back, and they found themselves in some really difficult positions. They've hardly had the ball on the Nordhoff side of the field, and just strange to look up at these scores. 56-0 last week against Bishop Diego and 49-0 against Nordhoff this week, and see Oak Park in that sort of position.
Boy, those are 2 tough teams to open up with.
Just a completely clean slate. It's like a brand new program.
Yeah.
And yes, these players were on JV, but I've never heard of something like that in all the years covering high school football, and it's certainly been a lot more years for you to have a team that basically doesn't return but 1 player that saw the field in meaningful time.
Well, we're so used to dealing with larger schools, and so when you deal like a school with a smaller enrollment like Oak Park, we have not as large a group of players to pull from. That's going to happen.
Absolutely.
What really hurts is that they don't have a go-to guy yet.
They had 3 of them last year, one being the quarterback, and then obviously 2 outstanding skill players. And this Nordhoff team is just bum rushing the Oak Park players. I mean, they have really come alive here at 49-0.
Well, you know, you start substituting and you get guys who haven't played, and now they want to have a chance to prove something to their coaches that, hey, they can do something. So they're enthusiastic out there.
I think that the Nordhoff starters might stay in until the 4th quarter. Hirsch is still out there at the linebacker spot. Probably not for that much longer.
Well, there's a bunch of guys with clean uniforms up there, so I think they've kind of
Made the changes.
made some changes at least, kind of.
Nice throw from Lund, penalty flag down. Fair to say that that will be an illegal tackle, a horse collar tackle is the slang for it. Should be another 15 yards, and that will move Oak Park up to the 38-yard line. Simi Valley struck again. They lead Buena 28-13. That is a playoff team, and that is a team that could really go on a deep run.
Well, they've got one of the great players in Ventura County, and Davis Pinkston. He's a guy who could beat you with his legs or his arms.
We really saw his coming out party, didn't we?
Threw for 5 touchdown passes last week, only the second quarterback in Simi Valley history to do that.
Quite the figure. Win like this goes a long way in building confidence, too. Someone from in the county, a nearby rival who you're going to see possibly in the postseason, or at least that caliber of team. Santa Paula's up 27-10. Hard to believe that 2 weeks from tonight, we will be back out the 126 freeway in Fillmore. Oh, and that one's dropped. Tough drop.
I tell you what, Lund has not looked too bad. I mean, he hasn't been able to complete the intermediate passes, but he's had a couple of drops on him. He's 10 out of 18 for 57 yards. If they could just get some kind of a semblance of a running game, they could kind of get this thing moving ahead.
I agree with you. Something to build on again.
It's not going to be an offense that's going to throw 40 times a game, I don't think.
Step by step, bit by bit, improve until you get to league play. How beneficial is it for a team like this to not have to play a league game until October 24th, although their opening league game is at Simi Valley?
Yeah.
That'll be a tough one. This group can get a lot better, but Simi is really good, as we're learning this evening. One of the surprises of the night, too, is Newberry Park, Derry. Saugus scored twice to take a 15-14 lead. Newberry has since regained that advantage, but surprised to see them go behind against Saugus. Hirsch muffs the punt and is tackled down at around the 31-yard line.
Newberry Park's ranked #1 in its division and #1 in the state Southern California Division III bowl picture.
Talk about benefiting from the change in leagues and divisions. Overall, as we have a look, I really have liked the change as far as the configuration of the leagues and the divisions. My only criticism would be the fact that the Tri-Valley League is for some reason in the Northern Division. To me, that seems a little bit out of place.
Well, but where are we going to put them?
I understand.
They've been with the teams in the division they are in. I think in years past they can be competitive with them. Maybe not this year, but in years past, a Bishop Diego or Nordhoff or Oak Park last year, those two teams could have maybe won that division.
Yes, but I just think there are some larger schools and student bodies in there that don't necessarily fit the size of these schools year in and year out. I don't think it was a solution that necessarily fits, because that's ideally what you want to do, right? Is you want to create a solution that can last for 10 years. I know it only has to last for 4, but you want something that can work for a longer period of time. Would you agree?
Well, yeah, but you know, it's kind of like the Marmonte League in the Pac-5 division. You know, on paper before
In the current incarnation, not the 10-team Marmonte League in the past. You're saying right now.
Right. Well, in the past, you going into it, you thought, hey, they could compete against those guys. Well, they haven't been able to compete with those guys at all.
Not whatsoever.
Because, well, they dominated the Northern Division for over a decade. The Tri-Valley League has dominated the Northwestern Division for over a decade.
Yeah.
You look at those schools who succeeded.
Everyone else is probably pretty pleased to
So, you know,
get rid of them.
where do you put them?
Austin Santino tackled down.
You look at geographically and everything else. I mean, are you going to send them to Barstow or wherever to play games or
You're
what?
saying Oaks Christian?
No, I'm talking about the Tri-Valley League teams.
Right. No, I do understand.
I mean, where are you going to put them?
I just would think the Western Division would be a bit of a closer fit. I think that they fit in with a lot of the Central California schools as well, when you consider that we're talking more about Nordhoff and Bishop Diego and no longer about Oak Park. I really believe Oak Park, over a longer period of time, fits into the league they're in. I think they were placed in the right spot. I think it was also right to leave Nordhoff where they are, but at the same time, the Northern Division has some big schools in it, and if you look at the enrollment size of Nordhoff and the size of the city of Ojai, it's just a completely different pool you're picking from.
Well, but the point is that they can be competitive against them. Look at Nordhoff in the past 10 years is 19, 10, and 1 against larger schools.
Yeah. I mean,
Oak Park is
12 and 14.
12 and 14, but 6 of the losses won by 7 points or less.
Yeah, no,
And
they've
look
been
at-
right there as well.
Look like Bishop Diego. Bishop Diego is a good program, and they have certainly been there for about the last 5 years. I say they can compete against the larger schools.
Quick throw, complete on first down. Tackled down. Joe York makes the play. Actually, I'm sorry, that was number 25, not number 23, it's Nick Sterling. 2nd and 6, and that will nearly bring the quarter to a close. When we come back at the start of the 4th quarter, Deuce, we'll go through a lot of these scores, and I'd like to get your thoughts on some of these games. Nothing's done. You need to obviously follow twitter.com/VCSpreps. They stopped the clock for some reason as the teams went to huddle ahead of the start of the 4th quarter. And that means the lock is headed downstairs. Best of luck to Lauren on his predictions this week. And we'll read Lauren's game story in the Ventura County Star in the morning, obviously. And you can get all these final...
He got this game right.
He did get this game right. You can get all these final scores on Twitter, by the way, twitter.com/VCSpreps. This is the Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel. Remember, for all your vacation needs, everything you need, visit your local Ventura County Auto Club office in Ventura, Camarillo, Thousand Oaks, or Simi Valley. Visit AAA.com/travel. That's AAA Travel. Proud sponsors of the VCS Preps Game of the Week. Tell you what, man, whole season with you, I need a trip. I need to go somewhere.
Hey, you
I'm
just came
going-
back from a trip.
I'm going to AAA Travel. That's for sure. I'll assure you of that. I did. And you're going to be going away for a little bit during the season.
Mid-November,
Oh.
going on a cruise to the Panama Canal. This is
Really?
the 100th anniversary of the Panama Canal opening.
Wow.
That's a
That's going to be
13-day trip, yeah.
fantastic. We're going to miss you a lot. Here's a throw. Incomplete. Over the top. And the clock stopped, but the clock is supposed to continue running. Congrats on that. What a brilliant trip. The Panama Canal cruises are supposed to
Yeah,
be great.
going with my brother, sister-in-law, and my wife. So it's we've got 2 balcony cabins next to each other. So
All
we're
right.
looking forward to it.
All right. As the clock runs, 49-0 here on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by the Ventura County Star. If you got a lot of school spirit, I want to throw this one in. You'll want to check out the Ventura County Star School Spirit Showdown at vcstar.com/school spirit. Now Oak Park making a nice play to get down to the 45-yard line.
30-yard pass.
I was in the middle of my read. Hey, just head to vcstar.com/school spirit and support your school. All right, Derry, let me take you through some of these scores, okay? Canyon. Well, first, let's get this out of the way. Pacifica 42, Reseda nothing. But Salis, your boy, was replaced at the quarterback position after a couple bad throws.
Wow.
That's pretty surprising.
It really is.
Canyon leads Thousand Oaks 28-27. The Cowboys and the Lancers, it's an old-fashioned shootout as Oak Park moves inside the 30 now. We might get to see the Eagles get on the board for the first time this season, which that'll bring me to my feet. It's all about building.
It's all about building.
What do you think about this TO team this year? Obviously, Gilliam emerged in that opening game as a solid quarterback. He's got a lot of work to do, but that was a lot to replace from last year, obviously, with your leader and Cookus leaving.
Yeah, you know, they've, over about the last 4 or 5 years, they've lost some really good talent. You know, Andre Bolar from a few years ago was an outstanding player.
Still playing
baseball, yeah.
At San Diego State, as I understand, of Andre Bolar. I think that Mike Lieben is looking at this reconstruction of the leagues and just can't believe his luck or lack of luck thereof. Really, it's pretty frustrating, I'm sure, for Thousand Oaks to not be, as we have a hurt player down on the field for Oak Park. Let's hope he's okay. Young man has come to his feet. Jacob Flamer, who had a nice catch earlier. Lucas, excuse me, has to go back and collect his mouthpiece. I think he's okay. What I was trying to say, though, is Thousand Oaks has been right on the cusp, haven't they, of doing something big, but they were stuck in that 10-team conglomerate Marmani League.
Yep. And they, you know, I think that Camino League is, you got 4 teams. Either one of those 4 teams have a chance to really do something. And with the Newbury Park struggling tonight, that kind of surprised me. I thought that was a team that had a chance to really have a 9-10 win regular season.
Absolutely. Pass complete, right side, with the clock running, out of bounds.
You know, they had the big quarterback and running back returning from last year, plus they had the 2 Holmes boys transferring from Oaks Christian, so they looked like they were very loaded offensively.
They do lead Saugus 21-15. And this is complete to the Westlake transfer of body into the end zone. Lund with his first touchdown pass. The first score of the season for Oak Park. It might be 49-6, but it is something to build on for these Eagles going forward.
That's great to see. Great to see, because now it's they have a chance to take some momentum and go into the Fillmore game next week and maybe get a W.
They'll get to try out their PAT or their 2-point conversion for the first time. And Oak Park is forced to take a timeout. A little bit to work out here, but the Eagles are on the board. And it's 49-6 here on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel. It is 21-15 Newbury Park over Saugus, but you know, everyone's talking about this league, obviously, with Newbury Park and Thousand Oaks and Camarillo and Royal, and we obviously talked a lot about Royal last week. Newbury Park, Camarillo. No one's talking about TO. And if a Cookus or a Bolar had been in there, they'd be the favorites. That's all I'm saying.
No, you're
is
exactly
that they're
right.
very unlucky, that they might be in a bit of a down year. We don't know if it's a down year. I'm just saying that they might be in a little bit of a down year when they got into a league and division that is winnable.
Well, you know, there's another way of looking at it. Hey, we're the underdogs.
Sure.
And they can go in each game. We get to league play. We're the underdogs. Nobody's talking about us. let's kind of show them
What we got.
what we got. And that may work in their favor.
It is 28-16, another Benevolio field goal as Simi leads Buena. That kicks up and through here, and it's 49-7. Fillmore leading CI 7-3 in the third quarter. St. Bonnie up 35-0. Chris Santoyo with his 4th TD. Here's one I want to get to. Oxnard Quartz Hill, 14-0 in the fourth quarter.
Who's leading?
Oxnard. What do you make of this Oxnard team? They can go to 2-0. They've struggled in non-league in past years. They have a real chance to win this division, don't they? And we're going to see them on October 3rd as they host Ventura.
You know, just looking at the box score from last week, the running game looks as solid as ever, and they've got a returning quarterback, and they don't ask a lot of the quarterback except to make some real good decisions. And if he just makes good decisions, hey, they're going to score a bunch of points, and they're going to come out on top. I think it's kind of like a Oxnard versus Pacifica at this point for the Pacific U League title.
You really never know what some of the other teams, what strengths and abilities they possess. We know Channel Islands has a talented running back, but you do have to think that it is Pacifica Oxnard at this point, although Pacifica could have a little bit of a quarterback controversy perhaps, as Salas was pulled earlier tonight, the Wainimi transfer. This would move Oxnard to 2-0. That's with 6:29 left in the fourth. It's their principal, Dr. Riegert, providing us with our updates via Twitter. How do you like that?
All right.
Nordhoff, with most of their reserves in, will take this kick beyond the 25 to the 30, 35-40. There are some strengths and special teams, as that is Bailey Rogers again, actually, pardon me. One thing I think you have to mention, when you look at this Nordhoff team, it's a smaller roster. 70-plus players last year. They're around low 40s now. What do you attribute that to? Did they just have this sort of, blue and gold wave come through and lead them to those titles?
Well, I think if you look at the years past, they've had rosters mostly averaging in the mid-30s, 35, 38, 34.
You're saying with the exception of last year's championship.
That was an exception.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think other than that, only once in the last 10 years have they had it more than 40.
Well, I think one thing when you go on a run like that and you win a championship is a lot of kids who were especially going to be seniors just want to go play and be on the football team.
Sure.
And they contribute and practice plenty, and they build the camaraderie and the excitement and all that. Here's York again, beyond the 50. York inside the 40. York trying to turn on the Jets, and he does. Look at York go, his third score of the second half. And as the clock continues to tick down, the score right next to Guest on the scoreboard keeps going up, 55-7 Rangers.
Boy, this will bring a lot of relief to the Nordhoff fans who are wondering whether a new group of kids and a new coach will be able to sustain the program's success that they've had over the last 20 years under Cliff Farrar and Tony Henney.
Well, and speaking to Eric Monson, I think he's a smart guy and a great football coach. Same thing with Tim Kenny. When I learned more about the coaches and eventually spoke to them, it was a situation where I thought for a second and thought these are the right guys for these jobs. These are smart individuals, young and ready to lead programs. And I think both will be able to do that. Tim Kenny obviously has more work to do. He was at Notre Dame. He walked on at Notre Dame and was on the sidelines for a game I did for USC Student Radio in South Bend, Indiana, which was the famous Bush Push we'll call it. USC 34, Notre Dame 31, although Matt Leinart was going to score a touchdown on that play anyway. I don't think Reggie pushed him in the end zone, but, he was
Sure
there.
looked like he did.
No, not at all. He was on his way
He
in.
was just leaning to see what Leinart was saying.
He was just patting him on the back. So Coach and I had a funny conversation about that the other day and the different ways in which we experienced that game and what happened after. And, oh, boy, what a night that was. That's something you'll never forget in your entire life, that's for sure. Be a part of a game like that. I didn't rub it in
Good thing.
that much.
You're going to be dealing with them for a few more years down the line, so you better
Absolutely. How do you
toe
feel?
the line a little bit.
How do you feel about Ventura as we're winding things down here? This game is certainly nearly done. How do you feel about Ventura? They're up 31-14 at last check.
Well, the good thing about them is that they've got a returning quarterback and a returning running back who've had success in the past. And, boy, once you have that, and then they've always been strong defensively. So that kind of really helps a lot. I know that Phil McCune is an assistant coach again.
He's back again.
He's back again.
Now, the problem with Ventura, though, did you see, in our open forum chat, which has been a lot of fun, speaking to everybody tonight on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel, did you see Ventura's pants tonight?
Oh, ugly.
What
is that about?
I have no idea. Is there any way we could repost that? These things are horrible. It's some
Why
kind
would you
of
want to repost that?
Well, so that everyone can see what I'm talking about. Did you get a look here, Anthony, at this? I mean, this is despicable. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of my alma mater. I can't wait till we have them in a game. Just everyone. Oh boy. Anyway.
Hey, remember when they had the problems with their uniforms last year? We
white-
couldn't see the numbers.
They had white away uniforms with white numbers, and now this is what happens next. Oh. Whatever fires up these young men to play, I suppose. Inside of 2 minutes,
I'm sure it's
tackle
not
down.
the players who decide on the uniforms.
I think they do get a say. There's
Really?
no way. There is absolutely no way Tim Garcia chose those pants.
Are you sure?
It's literally not possible. The captains or something or someone else picked the pants because Garcia did not. I can assure you of that much.
You mean he doesn't have say in picking those? Certainly he wouldn't leave
I'm
that
trying
up
to give him the benefit of the doubt here, Derry.
Yikes.
These are hideous. Next week, by the way, we have Agora Newberry Park on the Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel, as that one's heaved downfield incomplete. And then Santa Paula Fillmore, followed by Camarillo Ventura. After that, we have a Thursday night special as TO takes on Agora to start October, and then Oxnard and Ventura on October 3rd. Great schedule coming up.
Hey, Lund has a wrap around his left leg there, just below the knee.
He's had it since the second quarter. He's had it for most of the night, so we'll have to check on Lund and his health.
So you got the regular quarterback is out with a injured ankle.
Yep, Walker. Thrown downfield again.
One thing
For
that's really
Abate.
noticed is that he's throwing the ball a little bit more quicker, getting it off. First half, in some second half, he was just kind of sitting back, waiting for things to open. Just, hey, let it go.
Each game is a 48-minute, I should say, one big learning experience. And this has been a learning experience tonight for Oak Park. Yeah, it was. This has been a breakthrough this has been a breakthrough performance for the Nordhoff Rangers.
Yep.
Here in week 1.
And for Oak Park, there was a few good signs in there, especially late in the game. They finally got on the scoreboard, and that should help them next week against Fillmore.
Nordhoff triumphs, though. Their converted defensive end, now back to running back. York runs for 3 second-half touchdowns. 3 first-quarter touchdowns for Shane Hirsch, who looks like one of the best backs in Ventura County. The Nordhoff Rangers go on to win and win big tonight against Oak Park. They move to 2-0 on the year, 56-7. Nordhoff over Oak Park. Somehow, some way, it's barely 9 o'clock, but that's going to do it for us on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel. We will return next week for Agora and Newbury Park. We'll be at Newbury Park High School for that one. Kickoff set for 7 p.m. For Anthony Placencia, our director, producer, and engineer extraordinaire, everyone back at the mothership, John Catalini and company, our director of digital, Ray Meese, and my broadcast partner, the Deuce Derry Eads. My name is Danny Page. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/VCSPreps, and pick up a copy of the Ventura County Star tomorrow morning for the latest updates on tonight's games. Thanks, everybody. Good night.